In this video, we are going to have a little commentary action for my recent commission by Holder Ministries. I really love how this came out, and I love the fact that I was able to be a part of redesigning Jesus in a way that's politically engaging and modern, and of course, straying away from the typical appearance and features that we usually expect to see. Here we have 3 versions of the redesign. Holder liked number 3 on the right, so that's what we went with. Right now I'm just putting it down on paper and my sketchbook. It's in I think 10 by something. I don't remember the exact size of my sketchbook. It's bigger than average, but smaller than 8 by 11 copy paper. Just using some mechanical pencil for the line art and Faber-Castell ink pens. Normally sticking with the XS, B, and 1.5 sizes. I scan it into the computer and I start coloring it with Photoshop and Paint Tool SAI. The version of these programs you use if you're coloring doesn't matter. I just use these because I'm comfortable with them. I've been using them forever and I've memorized the process of it pretty simply. We wanted to incorporate some of the traditional iconography with this redesign, so even though we have Jesus as a modern day protester throwing a Molotov cocktail of holy fire, no pun intended, we still wanted to add like a halo effect to the background. That was mainly my idea. We needed to make sure we had something that reminded people visually that this was in fact Jesus, because his physical appearance is so different than the typical Eurocentric one with the, robes and blonde hair. So after that's all set up, I go and add shading to the line art and the colors. This is a really simple process. I just use the selection tool, the lasso tool, and just make really big blocks of selection and just fill them in. I really love shading, actually. It's the easiest part of the entire coloring process because you don't have to be as precise. You can pretty much just use your wand, your selection tool, and just kind of create a shape, a very rough shape of whatever you're trying to shade, and just fill that in. And then you can even use your eraser as a tool to get more precise with the shape of the shading area. I'm just shading his muscles right now, adding some definition to the clothing, through the wrinkles. Of course, he has the holes in his hands. And I left that pretty simple. I didn't want to get too detailed with it. I use a second layer with a slightly more visible opacity level to add an extra level of detail to the shading on his clothes. I think the first layer of shading I set to like 50%, maybe 70, probably even less than that. And then on the second one I probably did maybe 80%. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know that the second layer is slightly lighter than the first layer, but because it's overlapping, it makes the second layer look darker. And that's what we stuck on his clothes. For his hair, I just did a quick pass with the same technique, but this time with a white layer. And made that very, very light as far as opacity level setting. Almost 0. Probably around 30%. Doing the same trick with the bottle here, but it's even cooler with the glass because you can make it a little bit more shiny, more reflective. Did the same thing with our innocent bystander behind him. His clothes and his whole design, the colors were supposed to purposely be dark because of the fact that we wanted to keep the focus on Jesus. Originally I had him set lighter, almost at the same level, but the easiest way to push characters into the foreground and background, I've noticed, is just by applying a little color theory and atmospheric lighting. Just lighting and darkening characters. Kind of puts what they call an overcast, and that creates an illusion of depth. doing the second layering technique with the clothing wrinkles again on our bystander. And then I even blur out some of the shading on areas where I don't want it to be too dramatic, where it cuts off, if that makes sense. I do one more layer of light over major areas like their skin, and to kind of give us a sense that the light from the sky or whatever's in front of them is lightening up the scene. And that's pretty much it. We go from here, see how we started, and see how we finish. Those early details. And then at the last second, I put the dove over there to represent the presence of God flying over them both. And there you have it. Subscribe again to this channel for more videos like this. Let me know what you'd like to see next. If you'd like to commission me, send me a message, or you can hire me through a gig on FIVERR like this one was. I just started FIVERR recently, so I'm trying to get as much traffic to it as possible. Feel free to share, check it out. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Have a great week. Peace.